The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
And now to news in the IRS targeting scandal. The Tea Party says it has new evidence. The targeting went even higher up in Washington than earlier reported. And now the Tea Party expanding its lawsuit against the IRS. Joining us, Kevin Kukaji, president founder of Linchpins of Liberty, and Larry Nordvig, executive director of the Richmond Tea Party. Kevin, let me go to you first. How high up do you have good evidence to prove, or how high up does this scandal go, and what's your evidence in support of it?
Well, hi, Greta. Thanks for having me back. I think it's pretty clear that the evidence leads all the way to the top. The president had a meeting with his... The top is the president.
Okay.
Yeah, the president had a meeting with William Wilkins, his political appointee to the IRS, on April 23rd, 2012. Just 2 days later, orders were issued to, new guidelines were issued in these Tea Party cases. I think it's clear, though, that this started as far back as 2009. The president began intimidating those of us from being involved in the political debate by his suggestion that these organizations were nefarious or that we had been getting foreign money and things of that nature. This ratcheted itself up through Congress. Congress began sending letters of demand to the IRS. And before we know it, the IRS is actively involved in viewpoint discrimination, picking us out, selecting us because of the names of our organizations and what we believed.
Larry, this April 23rd, 2012 meeting that Kevin just spoke about, do you know what the White House says that meeting with William Wilkins was about?
Well, I don't think they're making any direct connection that, yes, it was about IRS targeting or whatnot.
I think Kevin is, because he talks about these guidelines.
Yeah, I think the smoking gun is that there was a meeting, and the next day there was more evidence of targeting. We found out later. So it's almost an indirect kind of an inference.
Well, I think we call it circumstantial evidence, which in some instances. But you mean it would be it would be helpful to know what the White House said went on at that meeting.
That would be very helpful, and I think that's what congressional investigations are all about. They want people under oath to tell the truth, and that's what needs to happen here. We need to know what happened in that meeting.
Kevin, the lawsuit that was filed some time ago in connection with the IRS scandal has now been expanded. It was amended, I think, it was filed last May, I think amended this summer, and amended again now?
Yes, every time it's been amended is when we learn more through the congressional investigation or otherwise through media. We learn of more individuals who are involved in this case, and I can't remember them all by name now because it is becoming quite a lengthy list. But we also learned that Lois Lerner herself had up to 1,600 pages of emails, including 30 pages of confidential taxpayer information in her private email account. And I would like to know what she intended to do with that or what she did with that.
And of course, what I'd like more is to have a chance to conduct see what happens at these depositions. Larry, what's your thought about still about this ongoing? Justice moves very slowly.
It does move slowly in a way, but we do want to be thorough. We don't want to rush it and blow the outcome, basically. That doesn't just come from me. That comes from speaking with staffers and actual congressmen that are on the House Ways and Means Committee. Really what we're doing here is we're smoking out the rats from a corrupt ship of state, if you will. And we need to find out exactly who knew what, when they knew it, how high it goes. And what we're finding is there are more and more names, like Kevin was saying, being added to this list. In fact, I can rattle off 3 right now. Former Commissioner Schulman is new on the list. We've also got Sarah Ingram, who I think is very significant in this case, and Willie Wilkins that Kevin was mentioning too.
Kevin, I literally have 10 seconds left. When did depositions start where you put people under oath in this case?
Gosh, unfortunately, that's a better question for Jay Sekulow, our great attorney at the ACLJ. But Greta, it's probably going to be after the first of the year before we even get a substantive answer from the IRS.
Well, I think that'd be the most, the most interesting part is when people start, answering, and we find out who knew what, where, and when, and the extent of whether, what went on or didn't go on. Anyway, thank you both, gentlemen.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.